Welcome to Officially Off the Record. I am your host, Ramaj. We are excited to have another episode. This episode, we are going to be talking about all things vulnerability, all things transparency, and all things men's mental health. It is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and so we are excited to delve into the conversations, especially with Black men, because we don't get that too often. So this episode, we're not only having conversations about Black men's mental health, but we're having them with a Black man, hearing his perspective and learning more about his experience on this episode of You Good, Bruh. So welcome to season 4. And I've got my co-host, Homer, here with me. Homer, say what's up to the people.
How y'all doing? Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. I did not Sunday Fun Day today, and I'm excited about that. I never Sunday Fun Day, actually. Just want to be honest. But this episode, again, is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And again, we're getting into You Good, Bruh. A lot of times as Black men, we feel that there are things we can't talk about. There are truths that we have to hold to ourselves. There's spaces we don't get the support. So on this episode, we'll be digging into all things love, all things mental health, all things divorce, and rounding it out with some really, really, really good things. Are you ready, Homer?
Ready as I can be, man.
Okay, so if you are new to the show, what you need to know is every episode, we start with an icebreaker. If you are a friend and familiar, you already know how we get down. You've been here with us for 4 seasons, so we're excited. So this episode, we are going to play a game called What the Helly. So in What the Helly, I will ask you, Homer, a series of questions. And if you agree and you like it, you will reply, hell yeah. And if you do not agree, you'll reply, what the helly, and then we'll hear your response. So without further ado, and for those of you who are watching from home, we want you to play along too. So first question is, Martin was the funniest show in the 90s. Hell yeah, or what the helly?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay, so is it like your go-to 90s show? Yeah. Do you? I know they're rerunning it now in syndication. Do you still watch it?
Yeah, I'll watch it, BET, catch it sometimes, and just sit back and like, the funny part is a lot of the jokes I didn't get as a kid, I get now, or certain scenarios and situations, I can laugh more now knowing, okay, I've been through this before, instead of just a kid and just thinking it's funny because the background, the crowd is laughing. No, it's funny to me now. So I think Martin was one of the best comedic shows that we had back then.
What's your funniest Martin episode or your best Martin memory?
It's funny because we're going to be talking about it, but like when him and Gina broke up, him going through the motions and he was just crying, and, and he's like, yeah, when you go through that, you're like, man, that's crazy. That does happen. I think that was one of the best episodes because it was him being vulnerable as well. And I, again, didn't understand that as a kid, but as an adult, I understand that now.
And then like, for me, I agree, right? And feeling what the character was feeling and then being like, again, looking back at it now at 30 plus, being like, damn, that was me 5 days ago. I just want to say that. Okay. So next question. A woman should never pay for dates. Hell yeah, or what the helly?
What the helly?
Okay, so walk me through it. You're okay with a woman paying, and how does that look for you?
I mean, it's not the first couple of dates. It's not the first 3 dates. But, later on, you can pay for a date. You can treat me. You can be my little sugar mama for the night. That's cool.
What's your go-to, like, when you're really trying to impress a woman, like, what's the go-to move for a date? Is it like something you wear, some cologne, a place you take her?
It's listening to the conversations that we've had, and she's probably mentioned to you that she likes a certain place or wants to go somewhere and hasn't in a while. And that way you can use that as a gateway, because that means you're listening and paying attention. And I think that's something that we get accused of not doing enough of. And so you get to use that as a card. So fellas, free game. There you go.
Points for you. Points for you, Homer. Okay. Question number 3. Men being the little spoon during cuddling. Hell yeah, or what the helly?
Hell yes. Not all the time, but there are moments where it's okay to be a little spoon. That doesn't mean you're less of a man. We like to be held and caressed on too. Rub my head. I got no problem with that.
I love that you said that because there's such vulnerability in that. Fellas, if you're listening, take a note from Homer. No matter how you identify who your partner is, sometimes we want to feel like small. We want to feel taken care of. We want to feel held. We want to be nurtured, right? Instead of always being the over nurturers or the nurturers. Okay. Black men getting pedicures. Hell yeah, or what the helly?
Hell yeah. I get mine once a month. I think that's like some self-care.
Once a month?
Yeah.
Only once a month?
Hey, I'm still a man. So, that's just something for me. I can do my own, but I think a pedicure does come in handy. And I'm really ticklish, so I don't like people touching my feet. But I think once a month, I know friends that don't even do it at all. But, I think if you can do it more than once a month, go ahead. But it's a little self-care, manicure, pedicure.
I got homeboys that got like a little window tint on their toes. And so I'm always concerned, like when I see people's, what? The people who, y'all know what I'm talking about. Some of you are these people, those black people who their nails look like they kind of were dipped in chocolate milk a little bit. I know that's nothing they can help. But I'm always like observing people's hands and feet. That's just I'm always looking at that. I don't have a foot fetish. I just want to say, I don't know what camera, this one or this one. I don't have a foot fetish. Just want to clear that up. Okay, so this brings me to my next question. Black men getting foot rubs from their partners. Hell yeah, or what the helly?
Hell yeah.
Okay, so how do you cue that up? You just put your feet out like, hey girl.
No, I mean, you could just ask. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't like feet. I mean, I don't like feet, but I will rub my partner's foot if I need to at that point in time. If she's tired or had a long day. Is it my thing that I'm going to do out of love? No, because I don't like it. But if I can tell you're tired and you talk about your feet, and then I think, man, sometimes you can just do the same thing and say, hey, would you rub my feet and just ask and go from maybe not at that moment, but she'll remember later on and do it at another time.
Okay, that's what's up. Okay, so white people being allowed to use the N-word when rapping a song because after all, it's just a rap song. Hell yeah, or what the helly?
What the helly? What the helly?
So how would you handle that if like you in a club and like some Meek Mill come on, right? And then like your white homeboy, let's call this guy, I don't know, Connor. So Connor is just going in. Like, how do you handle that?
I think you would have had that conversation beforehand because this person's your friend. You've been in a scenario before and you've told them, hey, man, that's not cool. And you had that conversation. Now, when I'm out and it's some random people and it's like, are you saying the A or the ER? Which version are you doing? And then even at this point at my age, I'm not going to flip out as much as I would have when I was younger, but it's a song. But are you saying that because you like the song, or are you saying that because you want a reaction out of me and you want to see what we can do or get into an altercation? And I don't have time for that because a lot of people play a lot of games.
I'm always in the club or in a spot when I do go looking like I'm in a crowd, like kind of what you're saying, like I'm looking to see when nigga come on, I'm looking to see what you saying. I'm watching your mouth. I want to know. And I might do a little, hey, you might need that edited version, Connor. Okay. So grown men using baby wipes in the restroom. Hell yeah. Or what the helly?
Baby wipes or men wipes? Because you're calling it a baby wipe, but now these days they have those men
wipes.
The dude wipes.
Okay, so I'm gonna revise that. Dude wipes. Hell yeah, what the helly?
Hell yeah. Dude wipes, yes. There's nothing wrong with that. It's Houston, it's hot. You can get a little freshening up with a dude wipe, and also you might have missed a spot wiping. There you go. There's nothing wrong with a dude wipe at all. Clean yourself. Health is care. Being clean.
Did you hear this, man? If you are not, I'm very, even if you can't afford it, just like, wet the toilet tissue, put a little soap on it, handle your business. To Homer's point, it's like 3,000 degrees outside here in Houston. I am always amazed when I go to a man's house. One thing I'm gonna do is like look in the restroom, right? Mm-hmm. Whether we're chilling, we're hanging, you're my friend, frat brother, uncle, cousin. I'm curious to see like how we as men interact with our hygiene, mm-hmm. right? And if you don't have them, I just picked up some last night at Target. They're like $3.49. Budget that into your budget.
Wait, what were you doing in Target, brother?
I was not in. What I was saying is, damn it.
What was you doing in Target, my guy?
Can we cut that? Listen, we're gonna edit that. Target, this will be edited. I was not in Target. What I meant to say was, I was on Target in my budgeting, and I was at a store where wipes were present, and they were $3.49 for a pack. I just want to say that I don't go to Target. I want to use this as a PSA right now. My budgeting is on Target. But had I been in Target, I might have got dude wipes as well.
You gotta do better, brother.
Damn. I'm
struggling. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Target shopper, but I have been struggling. I just been HEB got them.
That's true. But sometimes I still be feeling like, I don't know. Sometimes when I go in HEB and I like get something off the shelf, I sometimes feel like I be hearing like, nigga. Like, I feel like if I pick my groceries, like, or like pickaninny, like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes there's like spirits whispering or something, HEB, oppressive spirits.
When the boycott is uplifted, we go in there.
It's Target, it's Amazon, it's Walmart. Like, where do we shop?
Grocery stores.
You know what? Randall's has always been faithful to me.
There you go.
Randall's is because
it ain't easy.
Randall's is the food don't taste good. The fresh stuff don't taste good, but there's always stuff on the shelves because Randall's is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a whole nother episode. Like, where do we shop? Next episode, where do we shop? Okay, so our last couple questions. The current president putting our country in jeopardy of potential World War III. Hell yeah, or what the helly?
What the helly? But it's expected. He's a control freak and he's trying to use leverage. So I think yesterday's actions didn't surprise me. But you can't force somebody to the table. It's kind of trying to be in that manhood and trying to be major aggressive. We're going to see what happens. I pray for our soldiers, their families, and other people in other countries because we're supposed to not have war, but not looking that way.
And what gets me is like all the people, the Black people who voted for this, right? Yeah. The Black people or the people who were saying, "Oh, I just did it for a tax cut," right? Like I was just my taxes, my money was better the first term.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have this silo way of thinking, and they're the only ones that's going to be affected. But when you vote for a man like this, you see the outcome. I think, not being funny, but Mexicans are seeing that now. I know a lot of people that are Mexican descent, and they had family members or friends that voted for Trump, and now, they're scared to go outside because they don't know what's going to happen. It's very unfortunate, but it's the world we live in, and all you can do is pray and make sure you do what you need to do.
I think too, it's definitely at a point now where I keep seeing this rhetoric on Instagram and on social media where it's like, we can disagree on ice cream flavors. We can disagree on color of shoes. We can disagree on where to live in a neighborhood, but we can't right now. The climate that we're up against is, I don't know if we can disagree on who to vote for and what the political landscape is, because your values and beliefs definitely may oppose my safety now. It may oppose my friends and my family, may oppose how I show up. It may now oppose a potential threat to my life, So I think that's really important. And it is all shocking. It's upsetting. It's disappointing when I see people who look like us that are still on that bandwagon. Yeah. Yeah. Or when he has these events and you see Black people peppered in the background. I heard they were like paying people.
I think they could be paid
to go to DC.
There's a few that don't get paid and believe it, but I feel like the majority are getting paid. But to each his own, and those aren't the people that I would want to be around. I'm sure we have brothers that have voted the other way, and when you ask questions, they go to money or things that are just very small part of the map. And I think that's where, a lot of small thinking happens. And so you just have to agree to disagree, but just, how to remove yourself from people too as well.
If you're one of those people, we'll see you at Target because I won't be there. I won't be there. You'll be at Target. I'll be at Randall's. Okay, last question. Black men going to therapy, hell yeah, or what the helly?
Hell yeah. I have no problems with therapy. I've been going to therapy since 2014 for different reasons, and actually 2013 actually. And I believe in therapy within a professional, within your friend group, your frat brothers, your family. Therapy is therapeutic. It's a way you can actually have a new way of viewing things that you never saw before. You just got to be open for it.
I love that. 2013. Gosh, so you're like 12 years into therapy.
Yes, I am.
Wow. Therapy wasn't even a thought to me then. So that's really great. Have you kept the same therapist? Are you seeing someone new?
No. I've actually switched. That reason, a dear friend of mine passed away of cancer. It's one of my chapter brothers and somebody I went to high school with. And I went into a dark place and didn't feel right. And I knew that I needed to talk to someone because I had dealt with death for so much. And that's kind of like the last straw. And that's what started that. And I went for a couple of years and then took a break. And then I started back up in 2017. And I shout out to Harry Pittman. And then now I go to Stephanie Jordan. She's a great therapist. And I'm thankful for all the therapists that I've had in my life, because at certain points in times in life, we would go into this interview where life was challenging for me and I didn't have a way out. And the way out I thought about taking wasn't the right way. So
I love that you called out your therapist, because I was in a conversation recently and someone was saying, there's all these people are saying, go to therapy, go to this website, do these things, but like call it out, right? Like we tell people to get help. We tell people to go to therapy, or you need to check yourself into somewhere. But if we're not calling out the resources, how will our people know? Yeah. So I love that you did that. And we got to be more conscientious of calling out those things, especially the Black affirming healthcare. So I love that.
Oh yeah. If I had a friend reach out to me last week and we were just talking and there was like, I need a therapist. And I was like, I got one for you. Here's one. And I send my information. If it's a friend of mine in New York, I'll look it up. So you don't have that excuse because it's a Black man, we're going to make an excuse. Oh, I didn't have time. I'll send you a list of therapists that's in your area, because you really can, with ChatGPT, Google, everything, it's really simple. But I'm just an advocate of therapy, because you really want to talk to someone and you just don't feel safe at this point. And so that's where having that third party or someone that doesn't know you, because a fear of all of ours, not just Black men, I think, is that somebody's going to use it against me.
Yeah.
And so when you have someone that's not in your circle, you don't know them, you feel more comfortable and open to have those conversations. And that's just something that I believe in.
I love that what you just said segues us into what we're really going to be talking about today. So again, this episode, you good, bro. We're going to be talking about mental health, your mental health, Homer's journey, and just what that looks like. So one of my favorite shows is The Breakfast Club. And at the start of every episode, when they bring on people, Charlamagne asks people, like, are you good? So my question as we open up today is, are you good? Like really good?
I'm doing better than I deserve. And that's like an old, I know it sounds funny, Dave Ramsey quote. I used to watch the show all the time, but I'm in a better place, man. It's taken a while to get here. There's a lot of emotions. And even when you ask that question, you can just, I'm good, I'm straight. And I've learned not to say that. If something's wrong, say it. And again, it depends who's asking as well, the details that you give, but I'm better than I deserve, and I'm happy to be here.
I love that it makes me think about protecting and guarding ourselves, right? Sometimes as Black men, we spend so much time protecting other people, but in just what you said, knowing who to tell a thing to, knowing when and where and how to feel safe. So I love that you said that. And my next question to you is like, growing up, right? Were you allowed to express yourself, or were you taught to express your emotions? Like, how did you learn that expression?
Therapy. Growing up, I don't want to say I wasn't allowed to express. I don't think I understood. I saw a couple of emotions, and so that's all I knew were the emotions that I had. Not being funny, but I watched Inside Out. So remember when that came out, 2016, something like that maybe? That's the first time I understood the mixture of the emotions that go on in our brain. I always was able to see anger and happiness, but sadness, when you're shy, all these different things, I didn't really understand those. And so to be honest, growing up, I saw those two emotions and that's what I knew. And that's no hit at my father or my parents. It was just, at the time, that's what I saw.
So you only would express one of the two extremes. And so everything else in the middle, you didn't start expressing until you were an adult?
Yeah, that I understood what I was doing, because I'll be honest with you, I was very passive aggressive. I'm pretty much a smart ass. And that way I'm expressing myself. But through therapy and the time through therapy, I've learned how to calmly express myself, have the conversations with people, because I'm known to be a hothead when I was younger. But being able to have those conversations now, it actually threw some of my friends off when I would respond differently. And it was like, I don't think I like this version. I was expecting you to get mad and trying to pick a fight. And it's just like, no, it's not, I don't care about that anymore. So yeah.
That's healing for me, because when you say passive aggressive, I've never really heard anybody express that as like we know it's a thing, but an emotion that we express, like just in conversation right now, it's just, I'm almost at a loss for words, because it's like, damn, that was a mirror for me, like what you said, because I would, again, the smart ass thing, or the sarcasm, or passive aggressive for me look like, oh, okay, sure, no problem. That's fine. or like a curt text message, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not learning that what I really was doing was interfering in the communication of the relationships that I wanted to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Just being passive aggressive with my friends, being passive aggressive with my lovers, being passive aggressive with my parents.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because I didn't learn how to advocate for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Or I was afraid to say a thing. And at the root of it was just like, I'm gonna be passive aggressive because I don't know how to tell you that, like, I don't like what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't like the feeling, or I didn't sit down with myself long enough
Mm-hmm.
to identify that feeling.
Yeah. And I think the biggest one for me is that you can't treat your relationships like you treat your corporate relationships. I worked really hard and very far from an intern into a senior manager at a certain accounting firm. And I worked really hard, and that was the way I thought you were supposed to handle your relationship. So therapy for me was like me restarting some of the stuff I probably should have learned at a younger age. And, you know, that was tough. And it was very hard for me to let my guard down, which is part of the reasons why certain things in my life happened. But I think when you're honest with yourself and you're ready to look at that mirror, it's pretty tough. It's not the vision that you see. You'll see something that you didn't want to see. And I think a lot of people avoid that. And you get to a certain point in life where you can't avoid it anymore. If you choose to, the same things will continue. And that's what I took from that.
Damn. Homer, you were coming with all the questions I done had to ask you. It's like, now I want to have a whole nother conversation, which is why I love this space. But saying, like, divorcing our corporate expectations from our general relationships. So tell me a little bit, like, what did that look like? How were you able to, like, take your relationships from that, like, that corporate cycle, and the way you were behaving that way into something different?
I can't say I did. I think I kind of failed, and I think that's part of the reason why I got divorced. You know, you can change so much, you can do things, but if a person has not healed from the past, you can't move forward. And so while I thought I was doing the right things and changing, the damage was already done. And so now taking it on, I can see certain things, and I'm like, you know what? For example, I always did things with an intention. I thought I was allowed to. You know, if I wanted to take you out to a nice dinner, this is, of course, I'm talking about being married, and we have a good time, that's going to lead somewhere. I buy you a nice pair of shoes or expensive purse. It's going to be a nice night that night. And when it wasn't, I was very passive aggressive. And it's like, that's not what you're supposed to do things for. You know, you want somebody to smile and be happy, and just do that. Do that. Be happy and smile and do what you need to do. And if it's comes back to you in that form, what you want, you'll get it. And once I stopped trying to do things with intention, and again, this is something I learned through therapy, because I thought it was like, what's wrong with that? I would want to have sex with my wife. Duh. Or I would want my dad to be happy I got him this gift, but it's been the wrong gift. But he did mention it. You just have to learn these things, and you have to accept. And I think that's one of the hardest things, is accepting your reality. And it was very hard for me to accept my reality in certain areas, because I was so successful with work and getting as far as I did, doing the things I did, and networking and moving around. I thought I could do that same formula and put into a relationship, and you find out you can't. You can put some parts of it, but you can't put all of it.
I once had one of my bosses say that every single relationship has its own prescription, right?
Yes.
And so that kind of brings it full circle for me. So I love that. And so let me ask you this: when you were giving to get, right now, how do you, I think a lot of times we as men aren't even taught to ask for what we want. Like, when did you learn how did you learn how to ask for what you want? And how do you ask for what you want now?
I think I'm still learning, because it depends on your relationships. Again, like, I don't have a relationship of that massive love and that time spent. So now it's just, you know, if I need space, hey, somebody texts me some deep thought and I'm dealing with some issues at work or whatever I'm dealing with. Hey, I don't want to ignore you, but I don't have the capacity right now to respond. Can you give me a day and I'll get back to you? I think in the past, it's just you find yourself blowing stuff off and forgetting about it, but letting people know that, you know, I am busy, or I see your message and I'll get back to you. That's a way of asking for some space. You know, I think a lot of the times what we expect people to be mind readers, and we're not. Either way, man, woman, we're not mind readers. So I think if there's something I want to go see, I can mention it. Say, hey, this is coming up. Would you like to go with me? Or this is something I'm doing on my own. And that's one of the big things that I've done the last 2.5 3 years has done a lot of stuff by myself. I'm an only child. So, but doing things on my own because I know it makes me happy. So.
I love that. It makes me think about when we think about happiness and the weight that we hold. And I know that a lot of times with Black men, we hold depression. We hold sadness. We hold all these emotions. Again, kind of like the passive aggressive thing. And I know there are times when we don't feel okay. So when you weren't feeling okay, what did depression look like for you?
I gained some weight, which wasn't good. You know, I stopped working out. Like I do CrossFit a lot. I find myself going from working out 4 times a week to maybe once a week. Not talking to my best friend as much. One of the funny things, I don't have children, but my mom, again, I'm her only child. She can sense when something's wrong. And so she'll reach, hey, baby, I'm just checking on you. And then if I'm in the mood, I'm, you know.
So will you still cry with your mom?
Yeah.
Wow.
She knows. Yeah. I mean, again, therapy has opened me up. I had this saying in therapy, I ain't no punk bitch. So I don't cry, da, da, da. And then I realized how that just kind of just not allowed emotions to flow. And you built up all this anger and resentment. And so with depression, man, it's just really going away from things I love. That's how I know I'm depressed. Like, and literally that's the biggest thing. When I'm not working out, I know I'm not happy. Or I'm stressed out or something like that. And again, if I draw away, I'm very lucky to have a great group of friends. I'm not from Houston, but I have a good group of fraternity brothers here, friends outside from the gym. And then I still can go back to my fraternity brothers and chapter brothers back at home. I'm very, very lucky for that. And that's been a blessing through all the things I've gone through, is having people that check on me. I had a brother check on me the other day, just send me a message in the morning, which then led me thinking about another brother and called him, just, hey, I just want to thinking about you, man. Give me a call. And that's just where I'm at. It doesn't mean you're weak, doesn't mean you're soft. It just means you care about people and you genuinely do that. People feel that and see it.
I love that you talk about, you talked about your depression, but it makes me think about myself, you know, and it's crazy because before this episode, I was in the car driving and I said, God, I really want this episode to be something that pours into both of us. And so what you're saying is like pouring into me right now, because coming out of the season that I was just coming out of, I think about what do we do, or like key indicators for myself. I was thinking about this today when I'm feeling depressed, because I used to think that depression was just like a one-time thing. But I think for some of us, it can become a reoccurring cycle. And it doesn't have to always be a long stretch. It could be, some people are dealing with depression for a day or 2 or 3. And then some people are like in a place where you feel like you can't get out. Yeah.
I have seasonal depression. October, about half the month I'm depressed. My auntie, when I was 18, she had turned 21 and 10 days after got killed in a car accident. And so every year I have this shift and I feel it and I can't avoid it. But now that I have better tools, I can ride the wave better. But usually I shut down. I don't want to talk. I don't even want to talk to my family. And so me and my uncle and our brother, we're still close. And so we both kind of have this period of time where we know it, we acknowledge it now instead of just acting like it's not happening. And I will say every year since she passed away, I get depressed.
And so when we get into that, because again, going into naming like the therapist, now naming the tools, what is one of your tools for coping during that season, or something you would recommend a brother to do?
Letting people know. Even one point in time, this has been a very long time, I was dating somebody and her birthday was in that window. And I was like, hey, I'm going to struggle through this period of time. I'm going to try to step up on your birthday, but please understand me being short and me being by myself a little bit. Just don't be afraid. I think, again, one of the biggest things I've held against me is, again, I've always thought somebody was going to harm me. And as I got more comfortable with myself, I'm physically, you can't hurt me.
Oh yeah, you're a hard one to take down. Right. You're a hard one to take down.
I'm not tall, but I'm wide. So I'm okay with that. But I think once you realize that people really can't hurt you, even with the words, if you love yourself and you care, that's your story. It's your testimony. Somebody used something that you share with them against you. That one shows you that person isn't for you in the first place.
I like that you said that too, because I just heard someone say this. I promise you, I am like a student of Instagram University, but I heard Pastor Mike Todd say on Instagram, if you have a testimony and you're not telling it, then it's not really a testimony. It's a testimony when you start sharing it, right? And so I even think this conversation here is a form of a testimony, because there's someone who's going to watch this that's going to get something that they're going to identify with you. Even me, like, dang, I see myself in what you're saying. I want to talk a little bit more. You talked about divorce earlier. So I want to read the statistic because we're going to talk about divorce, grief, and rebuilding. And so I saw a statistic that says over half of Black children in the U.S. live in single parent households. 16% of individuals report having experienced separation or divorce in their childhood, with a large majority being Black boys. And 38.7% of Black men have been divorced at least once. And that overall divorce rate for Black Americans is around 39%, which is slightly higher than the national average. And you and I both fit into those statistics. Me coming from a divorced household, you being divorced. And so some may say that divorce just isn't the end of marriage, but it's the death of expectations. And so as someone who has been divorced, what was the hardest part for you, either emotionally or mentally?
I mean, all of it was really tough, to be completely honest. But the hardest part was accepting the reality that the dreams I had with that person were never going to happen. That was really tough. The mental part of not wanting a divorce, but having to proceed legally first to do a lot of things because of the time gap and just really for my own mental health. That was really tough. But I think everything happens for a reason. And I'm very fortunate to have spent those 6.5 years with that young lady and grew and learned. It was unfortunate it didn't work out. But I think the hardest part is realizing, because everybody deals with death, but the death of your divorce is two people are still alive.
Yes.
And so you do have to see that person again and certain passing. And Houston is very, very big, but it's very, very small. And so having to deal with that and go to your therapist, oh, I saw my ex-wife today and I just went through this. And it's really having those flashbacks here and there and realizing that, okay, I'm not healed. That's okay. That took me a real long time to realize that it's okay to not be okay.
And you said something that I've been saying for the past month, mourning someone. I said this on the last episode, mourning someone who is still alive.
That's tough.
And I'm still figuring that out myself right now. Like, how do I see you in real time? How do I, when I see you, do I pretend like you don't exist? Do I say hello? Like, sometimes I'm in the car practicing what I'll do when I see that person. I'm like, hi. Okay, no, do I do that? If I see you at church, am I like, what's up? God bless. Like, if I see you in the community, do I just be like, I don't know what to, it is an active thing every day.
Oh no, it's even worse when you have people, hey, such and such is coming in. Oh, they're coming, they're about to walk through the door. And you're like, bro, why'd you tell me that?
Or the one when you go somewhere and then the people ask you about them constantly. Like, I don't know.
Or they ask how you doing because they see the person in the room. Like, right now is not the time to ask me.
Or dang, I hate that didn't work out for you. You and me both. What do you?
But I'm glad that I am where I'm at now. But it took me some time, man. It took a while, and that's okay too. And you know, that's one of the things that I don't know if the question is. You can't rush it.
Yes,
you can't rush the healing. You just have to take responsibility for what you've done and the missteps that you've done. You can't really, you can want, but you cannot expect that person to take their responsibility either. You can't do that. You can't wait on that. You can't pray for that. You can't hope on that, because at the end of the day, that has nothing to do with you. You have to focus on you and work through your healing. And that was very hard.
I think what you're saying hits on something that I've also been rehearsing and coaching a lot in therapy is accepting the apologies that you'll never get.
Yes, sir.
Accepting that God allowed this no for a greater yes for you. Sometimes it feels like, but I thought this was the greatest yes.
Yeah.
And then like, what greater yes is there? Like,
Yep.
I thought this was it, big dog. This was the Mecca, the mountain.
Yeah.
Like, where else do we go from here?
You have some real conversations with God when you go through these valleys and you question not him, but question the scenarios, and you go back. And one of the things that you end up doing is you self-torturing yourself.
Yeah.
It's a reason it's for in the past. And I posted it the other day, Lion King, Rafiki, right?
Yeah.
When he was hitting Simba up against the head and he was like, it hurts. He was like, but it was in the past. And so the next time he swings, he moves. He said, you learned from the past. And that is a moment that you have to remember. And again, as a child, we laughed. But as an adult, you laugh and you get it.
Yeah. Damn. Homer, can you just, if you want a son, I'm potty trained, I drive, like, happy Father's Day.
It's a lot of work, man. Again, Stephanie, Henry, I'm thankful for my therapist because they helped me a lot. And really the transition to Stephanie helped me, a Black woman, open my eyes to some things and the way that my ex may have been thinking and I didn't understand. And so I am thankful for that because without her, I wouldn't have been able to be the person that I'm meant to be. And so that scenario I'm very happy for.
I got a question. I heard a divorced Black man tell me, he said, I know that I am created to be in community with women. I know I am created to be in partnership. And being single, it hurts, right? Being single is lonely. So how did you navigate the loneliness that came with being single right after a divorce?
At first, not good. I was in the streets, but no, I think that's one part they expect you to do is be wild and crazy. And it's like, no, I actually wanted to be married. I would get married tomorrow if I knew that person would be there forever, you know? I think navigating, again, I've been blessed by God to have great friends. I have great parents. Being able to talk to my mom. My mom is my best friend. One of my best friends. I even had some friends that were married that got divorced. Having those conversations, again, being vulnerable. Hey, bro, I am not doing well. I've had a situation where I was out and about, heard some information, and I almost crashed out. And I had a brother older than me, shout out to Justin, talk to me and say, Homer, I know what you're thinking. I know what you want to do. It's not worth it. That loneliness is tough. And it's even tougher when you don't want to be there yourself. And I think, again, one of the issues that Black men, we struggle with is acceptance. Yeah. And acceptance of reality. Like at the end of the day, I could point the fingers at my ex-wife. She can point at me, but that doesn't change anything. So really just accepting where I fell short at. And that allows me to own what I have to own. That loneliness is not fun. And like, again, thanks to my friends, I really didn't feel alone. But those nights, those replays, those nightmares, I still have them sometimes. They have decreased over time, which is a blessing, but you find yourself really in your head. And again, one of the ways out of that is writing more, communicating with your friends, the IG posts, reading. You know, it's really interesting how you find yourself locked in and focused on one thing and you realize what you're missing out on. And that's been one of the things that I've been blessed to say is like, while I was lonely, I really wasn't.
I want to back into something real quick. You talked about that accountability, right? I think that accountability is really hard. I can't speak for any other type of man, but as a Black man, sometimes for us taking accountability. And so I think what you're saying is also pouring into me because I think about not just in romantic relationships, but at work when I fail, with my parents where I fail, with my siblings where I fail, with myself where I failed. How can I take accountability? What can I do wrong or right when I did the wrong thing? Because I think a lot of times when we have a breakup of any sort, even a breakup of a job, right, or a friend, it's easy to point the finger back at the person and say they didn't do this, this, and this, and this. And we can hide behind that and move forward and tell the story as them as the villain, as opposed to, you know, Beyonce said playing victim and the villain at the same time. Sometimes we are the victim and the villain at the same time. So I think accountability, I love that you hit on that. And that's really good.
I didn't have a choice, man. 2023, I was going through my divorce and I lost my job. at the same time. And I had really worked really hard to get where I was at. I was associate vice president. I'm working in consulting. I finally took that dive and made the consulting. Lasted 10 months. But it wasn't due to me. It wasn't due to what I didn't do. There was numbers at play. But at first I couldn't see that. So it was this, that, and the other. And then I was like, you know what? The one thing I didn't do that may have helped, that's accountability, is I didn't network the way I should have. I focused on my team instead of focus on branching out in a new environment. That was it. And so these accountability things are like, I know we feel as Black men, we feel like Black women don't take accountability, or women in general. It's at the end of the day, as human beings, we are not really good at accountability because everybody wants to point a finger. And sometimes just point the finger at yourself. And it took me a very long time to get there. And that's just part of the journey. And again, you can't rush it. And I know in certain scenarios, I wish I could have moved faster, but I couldn't. And so now I'm divorced. I'm blessed, and I'm able to move forward and use what I've learned to love someone else, love my friends, love my job, and walk a different way and walk a different path.
How do you, and again, I'm asking for education and mentorship, having ended a relationship and then also being ended by a job, how do you now see trust? Or how does trust look for you? How do you deal with trust now?
So I have trust issues.
What does that look like? Because people say it all the time. Drake has gotten popular off of saying trust issues. What do trust issues look like?
Fraternity. That does not mean we're friends.
Okay.
Shouldn't be like that.
Okay.
That's the issues I used to have. So now I'm more welcoming. I'm a more welcoming person. I actually did not look for friendships. Like I got a small circle. If you knew you might be cool, we're not going to be friends. But I was very guarded. I didn't like opening up to people because, again, I always thought someone is after me, all this stuff in your head. When you're raised in a certain environment, I'm originally from Chicago. You see the videos, you see how people get backdoor and all this stuff. I left at a young age, but my mentality did not leave.
They didn't leave you.
And so when I'm in those situations, I realize that, I have to open up more. I have to be receptive because at the end of the day, nobody can really hurt you. There's nothing that you're going to share that's going to get used against you. And a lot of times as Black men, we always look at another guy as competition. And we're not competition. I mean, yeah, we may be in competition for women, but even that doesn't really matter. The right one will pick you. You'll pick the right one. And so you find yourself not doing the things. It's not a sport anymore. I was an athlete back in the day, high school, not college. But you have this mentality. And once you realize that mentality only gets you so far. It got me to a certain point. Now it needs to be a shift. And the shift isn't you losing who you are, which I did. It's actually advancing who you are. And you won't see that until you go through that. And that was one of the biggest things that I'll say through all that. It was like I learned that who I was as a core person still stands. And that's good. I was just afraid to show it more. And now I can do that and I have no qualms about it.
I love that. I want to talk about this. You talked about growing up. You've said time and time again so far that you are an only child.
Yes, sir.
So growing up as an only child, did you have an imaginary friend?
Of course.
Okay, what was your imaginary friend's name?
We're not going to do that.
No? Okay. So listen, I'm going to tell you mine. Mine was, I don't even know where we got this name from. My mom's going to watch this and cackle. But my imaginary friend was Perdita. I have no idea. I don't even know how. And I'm not an only child, but I initially was growing up as an only child. But I think when you, as an only child, sometimes it is a challenge to make community for some, and then for some it is not, because they have such a desire to be in community. But how did you either learn to build your community as an only child, and even also like sit with your feelings? Like, how did you learn all those things?
Sports. I've been an athlete since a young child, played baseball, Southside Little League in Chicago, moved to Nashville, baseball, basketball. That's how I built my network. Middle school, high school, you got friends that play sports, but then they do things outside of it. Yeah. And then you get cool with their friends. And so my network was big because of me playing sports. But I'll say until fall 2007, I didn't really understand the implications of my own actions. If I wanted to do something on my own or do something, it may hit someone else. Basketball, you get on the court, but in real life, walking across the grass or eating something red or wearing something red. And the funny part of all this, it wasn't me. It was my line brother that I had to learn this stuff.
Right.
And so getting those experiences made me realize what friendship, brotherhood was like. And I think, again, middle school, high school, you have sports. There's a certain brotherhood there, but it kind of stops sometimes within that. But when you're in a fraternity, I feel like it's a lifetime. And actually, to be honest, some of my friends from high school, we're not in touch as much, but I get to watch the kids grow up. I have a couple friends. One of my friends' son is a starting quarterback at his high school. And I go back, the last 2 years, I've gone back to watch him play at least one game. And so, these things that we think are just for fun are actually teaching us tools for life going forward. And that's one of the best things about that fall 2007 and just growing through that. I think that was important for me because it woke me up to, I have to be accountable. But again, I only thought I had to be accountable in this space. And in life, emotionally, again, this is one of the big things for Black men. That's a space that we're not used to. Mm-hmm. And it's a space that I can honestly say that I sucked at. I think I had the third grade level emotional intelligence. Now I'm, a rising freshman in college, but it took a lot of therapy, reading books, and I'm still learning. I don't have it down packed. So when you say mentor stuff, I'm still learning, brother. And I think for the rest of my life, I'm going to learn.
So being an only child, did it make it harder or easier for you to ask for support? And even if it was like the simpler, the more complex things, and I asked that question because I have friends that are only children and I even find myself as not an only child, I feel like operating the way that some of those people, like I am the person who you give me a task, even if it's a group task, I'm going to complete it for everybody. Mm-hmm. And all y'all have to do is just show up. Mm-hmm.
I'm not that bad.
And so were you how did you learn to ask for support as an only child?
I think just by trial and error. Again, I always go back to this somebody's going to hurt me thing, but I really went to the point where I had good friends. I have a friend from freshman year of high school to now.
Wow.
And so we have been friends, buddy. He comes down every year, bar crawl, shout out, Dante. Mr. Sincere, he's a trainer, every day my G. And then we talk about anything and everything. And when I mean anything and everything, I mean anything and everything. And we fell out for a couple of years and that really hurt. And we were able to talk about that too. And that's when I knew this friendship was meant to be to the end, but I will just say sports, the coaches that I had, and I'll give them thanks to my dad. My dad, he shows strength. He's very stubborn. So am I. But he also can ask for help at times. Now, is it the time when you need to? That's what I'm still learning. And I'll say there was points in times where in my former marriage that I probably should have said, hey, I need help here. I'm struggling. But my ego got in the way. And that's one thing that I've learned through all of this is that my ego is only going to harm me. It helps in a certain scenario, but it does not help in marriage.
So when you talk about asking for help, what is something either in a romantic relationship or in a brotherhood or a friendship, what is something that you used to not ask for help for that you're okay with asking for help for now?
Oh, I'm struggling, man. I'm mentally struggling right now, bro. Can you check on me at least twice this week? Just give me a phone call. I have no problem with that now. Hey, man, call Dante, bro. This is not any recent, but this is when I was going through my divorce, man. I actually miss my ex-wife, bro. Man, that's okay to feel that way. Another good friend of mine, Charles. Hey, bro, I am really, really struggling. Let's talk about it. What are you struggling at? Well, I saw this back then, but I knew you wouldn't see it. So let's talk about it. I have really been blessed with great friends. And that's why when I say I have best friends, I have like a group and they all the best friend group. And it's not just one person. I've really been blessed and that's helped me. And so with those people in my life, I'm not afraid to ask for anything. Another friend of mine, David, back in home, he's married with kids and I can ask him questions. It's just really being open and I'm not ashamed anymore. I think that was one big thing. Like, we always talk about our egos, but really it's just being ashamed because you don't want to look like a failure. And at the end of the day, while you may fail at something, you're not a failure.
And isn't it great how like the things that we thought we failed at were really launching pads for success? I look back at some of the jobs that I've been laid off of, the people I have been laid off from, right? if I had ended up where I'm so grateful, and we say this a lot in our Black culture, thank God that I'm not where I thought I wanted to be.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yes, sir.
Thank God that I didn't get what I thought I wanted. And it
Mhm.
reminds me of when God says, I know the plans that I have for you, plans to give you hope in the future, plans for you to succeed. And our mind is just so small, and God has this really big plan for us. I think that's so miraculous. I want to ask you this too before we shift gears. I know we are a part of the greatest fraternity. I don't think there's no debate about that. None. What is something that you've borrowed from the brotherhood that is like ingrained in you now?
There's a couple of things, to be honest, but he's not heavy. He's my brother.
Yeah.
Again, with the way I felt about friendship and certain things, I am now close to people that I was very like apprehensive about. We're not from the same city. We're not from the same chapter. Yeah, we got the same letters, but that doesn't mean anything. I am very close to some of the guys that I wouldn't have been close to. And some of the things that happened, one of those guys became an alpha, and we were able to talk about that. And I was able to be there for his ceremonies and sign papers, whatever. It's a great thing. And I think the business mind, being able to push that as well, and learning that, again, it's a bad thing sometimes. Everybody ain't your brother.
No.
And just, I think in general, the big thing is like, he's not heavy, he's my brother. And that does not just mean fraternity brother, but some of my close friends, when they go through things, I go through it with them, and being there for them and letting them know none of this stuff makes you weak. Giving up may make you weak. And even then, you can give up for a moment.
Yeah.
For a moment, but that's all right.
I love that you said you can give up for a moment, right? Like that we can stop. We have the right as Black men, right? Just speaking to our men, we have the right to stop for a second. We have the right for a relationship to pause. We have the right to say, I don't want to get out of bed today, right? We have the right to be like, I'm calling in to work. And I think there's so many times that we as Black men, we feel that we got to put everything in our backpack. Yeah. We got to carry everybody's thing.
I did not take a full week off of work until my wedding day.
Really?
I had never taken more than 3 days off.
Why was that?
The way I was programmed from watching the leaders and what I needed to be, I had never taken off a week. I took off 2 weeks, and I was like, oh man. So now I have mental health days on a Wednesday sometime randomly. I'll go off. The last one was last month. I went to Cena Leon and went to Pier 9. I had my little emotional breakthrough. I cried and all this stuff, but taking time for yourself is okay. The stuff is going to be there tomorrow. The way that I was raised in a corporate environment, you got to work twice as hard. You got to prove to the man, and all you're doing is wearing yourself down. And I think something we don't talk about, and that's why I say you got the PTO hours or FTO hours, take them.
I heard somebody say during the pandemic, I used to say, being a multi-hyphenated business owner, I'm on the grind. I'm grinding. And this Black man said, I do not want to grind because the definition of to grind is to wear down. And when I heard him say that in 2020, it changed my mindset, right? So I don't say I grind. People be like, oh, you having a busy week? I'm having a full week, but I'm not having a busy week, right? I try to be careful about the way that I say those things because, to your point, like we are taught that as Black people, you got to do twice as much to get half as much. You got to be twice as good to be half as recognized. And I think that some of that is like toxic,
it's very toxic
thought that is passed down to us. And now we feel bad for taking the days off work. We feel bad for not responding to the email when we get off work at 4:59 and 59 seconds. I feel like, well, I got to do it for 6 o'clock by 6 o'clock.
I still struggle with that from time to time for emails and certain emails or certain scenarios that come up. I'll respond, and I've gotten better to where now I'll leave my work laptop, but I'll still have my phone. Then again, I'll take a trip. I've been able to do it now is where I'll take trips and leave everything. If something happens, something happens. I'll get taken care of when I get back. And that still gives me an itch.
Really?
Yeah.
I wanna salute you though for setting that boundary for yourself, because that was the next thing I was gonna say is that while we set boundaries for other people, a lot of the times it's setting boundaries for ourselves.
Man, this is gonna sound silly, but it's the truth. I didn't understand boundaries.
Really?
I learned boundaries from my ex-wife.
Really?
I lived in a house, there was no closed doors. So in my house, I'm like, why are you closing the door?
Everybody close. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
She's like, because I can. I'm like, no, you can't.
Right.
It's like, why are they closed doors? I couldn't understand that for the life of me for a while. And it's just like, it's a boundary. I just need time separation. It's okay. I don't mean I don't love you. I don't care. It's just like, I just grew up in a house where the doors were always open. And it's just learning boundaries and a full understanding of those is different for people because everybody has a different boundary. And sometimes you think somebody's blowing you off or doing something. It's just a boundary. Now, can you communicate it? That's where we kind of get it, things get taken to another level is how it's communicated or did you communicate that was a boundary or something was up? And I think that's just something that we have to work on as a group of people and when we communicate with our partners, families, and loved ones.
Have you ever felt rejected when someone set a boundary for you? And then how did you overcome that?
Oh, yeah, very much. That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of the stuff I had to realize through my former marriage was just a boundary. But I felt rejected. I felt like I wasn't loved. And really what it came down to was while those things were it was because I was pouring more into that person instead of pouring into myself and loving myself. And so that validation that I needed, instead of coming from me, was coming from a third party. And really what I needed to do was for me. And if I had that for me, I would have been able to see that, oh, she had a long day. She just needs a break. Give her that 20 minutes in that room, in her dressing room. Or she doesn't want to go out or whatever it may be, that boundary was set. It's not a rejection. It's just they need space. They need time. You don't know what that person's gone through unless they went and told you and you still ask, then that shows you don't really care about anybody else. You just cared about yourself.
It makes me think as we shift gears, kind of we talked about your divorce, but like life after that, right?
Yeah. The good stuff.
What do you need in a partner now that you didn't know you needed then?
A lot of stuff. No, jokingly. I did not realize how important it was for how someone made me feel.
Say more about that.
Do I feel loved? Do I feel cared for? Those are really simple ones. But does this person take the extra amount of work to make me feel loved? Are they going to get me my favorite food? Are they going to cook for me? I knew that was going on, but I didn't understand that mattered to me. It's different on like, okay, is this a safe space to communicate that I'm upset? And again, I'm not saying she didn't do any of these things. I'm just saying I understand that that's important to me now. And at the beginning, I didn't care. All I knew was that I had this set up, insert wife. And when Black men, a lot of us do that, we're not thinking about how they're set up in their lives. You just want to fit into my life. And that was one of the biggest things, man, is realizing that.
So when we talk about love and relationships, right? Do you believe that Black men are taught how to love in a healthy way, or are we taught more performative love?
I think it's performative. I mean, you can look on Instagram and all the stuff. It's about what I can do for you. But I think that's the problem. It's what we see on Instagram. We don't know what goes behind this, the people's relationship and whatnot. So I think we look at it as if I provide, if I pay these bills, that's how I show you love. That's how some of our fathers, our grandfathers and forefathers, they all did it that way. I think this generation of men are the first generation in full. There's some before that have to provide emotionally and financially. And what we're unequipped for is the emotional side. A lot of times when you learn emotions, I didn't really figure out emotions until I was in my 30s. Not a lot of men are that way. There are some, and shout out to you guys that have figured it out early and are making your wives happy from an emotional state, because that really lasts. Beauty fades, money runs out. But if you're covering those emotions and making people feel loved in an organic way, organic way, you'll be able to go through anything. And I think that was one of the mishaps is like, when you realize that you don't have that, you're not able to last through things.
I like that you hit on that. It makes me think about the things that we need to ask for, right? We need to ask for, and I believe in relational norming. When I'm at work, when my first week at work, I'm going to talk with my boss and, hey, let's norm how this relationship will look. When I enter into new friendships, when I'm in with new partners, new sexual situations, like I think we should be able to norm all of these things.
Don't be afraid.
To use your words, right? But in the past, I don't know if you can identify with this. I've been so afraid to ask for what I wanted out of a fear of acceptance or rejection or that passive aggressiveness. So even now, how would you, if you're with a woman, like how do you ask for what you want?
open my mouth. But now it's like not opening my mouth in see, I was being passive aggressive right there, but being passive aggressive. I try to use that example. It's just like, hey, I would like to try this. Or what are your thoughts about this? Or hey, do you like seafood? Would you want to try this restaurant? I see a special. I think it's just being okay with hearing no. I think Black men are afraid of that word. No doesn't mean the end of the world. No just means no, and you move forward. That's not that hard. But we're so set up for this sense of validation, and we're scared of rejection. And that's where one of the things where I get frustrated and upset when I go out and I see a man get rejected by a woman, and next thing you know, he's calling out her name.
Yes.
I'm like, bro, do you realize you just screwed up your whole night? Because there were 30 other women in the club that probably found you attractive. Mm-hmm. But since you acted the way you acted, they're like, no, that's a red flag. And now nobody wants to talk to you. So I think we just have to just take those norms, man, and just relax. The world is not over with a no.
And being okay with hearing a no and receiving it, because no is healthy, right? Mm-hmm. Too much of a good thing all the time is a bad thing, right? Because it teaches us entitlement, right? If you get yes all the time, if every door was open for you, you wouldn't learn perseverance. We wouldn't learn boundaries. If the doors physically were open in the house all the time, right? You wouldn't learn those things.
But I think you have to know yourself. And I think, again, that look in the mirror, you may not like the first glance, but if you stare long enough, you work on it, it evolves. And so when you start having these conversations, originally, I probably was still bad at asking what I want. But I feel more confident asking. And if you give me a no, that's cool. I've had scenarios where when I went through my divorce and my separation and all that stuff, where I was single and, you explain all that, you speak it. I didn't realize how many people lied about it. Damn. So women would be like, oh, I'm on board. I get what you're going through, this, that, and the other. And then they would switch up on you. That's rejection. It hurts, but then you're like, wait, that has nothing to do with me. I was open and honest. Shout out to therapy. I put everything on the table. It just didn't fit for them. It has nothing to do with me. Maybe how they handle it, I can be upset about, but that doesn't make me less of a person or make me an evil person. I was upfront, and that's all I can do.
I love that you're cool about talking about that, right? Because when I heard Lauryn Hill say this when I was in high school, if you give yourself up, nobody else can give you up, right? And so I love that. What I want to ask you is this, as we get ready to transition down, is what is one thing you wish Black women knew more about when it comes to the Black man, or one thing you wish that Black women could do differently when it comes to loving the Black man?
Ooh, I think that's a tough one. There's so much that they already do, but I think there's an area of expectations. Your man is going to grow, but he's going to grow at his speed. He cannot grow and change at the speed that you want. If you cannot accept that, get out the situation before you get too deep.
Damn. Is that going to be in your book that you're going to be releasing this fall? Because that was a word.
Well, actually, what's actually funny is I actually am writing a book, but I'm very slow with it because I don't know if I want to release it or not. But it's like I'm picking out words, communication, transparency, flexibility, therapy, and I kind of expel on those words in certain situations that I've been through. And I've written probably like 6 of those up already, but I keep them for myself. Oh, wow. And that's just a form of how I work through my therapy, my depression, and certain feelings that I just have. And so that's an example to anybody. Don't be afraid to text in your phone and write out your story, or get on an old-fashioned notebook. Get stuff out, because the longer you hold it in, the heavier it gets.
I want to transition us to talk about identity, manhood, legacy. I feel like in our Black community, we say legacy, legacy, legacy all the time. One of my favorite Jay-Z songs is legacy, 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 right? As a Black man, like, we talk about the word, but we don't always define it. How do you define like legacy?
Well, for me, my name, you just know my first name, which is Homer.
Right.
I'm actually the 6th.
You're the 6th Homer? Homer the 6th? Like,
so, yeah.
Like
Homer,
Jason 6?
Same middle name, Britain 6, all that together.
Wow.
So legacy is important to me. So if I'm fortunate enough to have a child and it's a boy, that's always a dream of mine. I've had people say, oh, why would you want to do that? Why wouldn't I? I'm proud of that name. Legacy, thanks to my pops, I have been lucky to have him in my life. My dad was there the whole time. He sacrificed. He worked hard. He worked extra hours. He taught me how to be a man to a certain level. And it's a great level. There was just a part of the emotional side that I was missing. And so when I look at that, I look at it as now it's just like him and I conversing now as adults. We can have those conversations that I probably wish I would have had as a kid, but I didn't understand. And so I'm so grateful for the work that he's put in. My dad started going to therapy himself because I mentioned how much I went to therapy.
Wow.
And so when I look at legacy, I look at it as carrying that name on, but also carrying on the actions of being a gentleman and being a man that is respected in your neighborhood for the good things, not the bad, of course, but you just want that. For me, I want that to carry. And so legacy is big to me. I'm really stuck on that, like carrying my name, the last name that's important to me. And I think that's going to be funny with the conversation because we're getting older. Some people want to carry their name or hyphenate it. Yes. I'm over there like, oh, that's going to be interesting. And do I really care about that? Yeah, do I? But why? And when I can explain why is that I have that old fashioned mentality of the covering and all that stuff, then it makes sense. But if I'm just like, because I'm marrying you, woman, no, that's not how you got to have a conversation. And I used to have that mentality. It was like, well, I'm giving you a ring, you carry my name. And that's not productive.
I love that. I love that you, again, going from taking the conversation from topic level to below the surface about therapy. Explaining why I want you to have my last name, why this is important to me, which also funnels back to your childhood. Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. If it turns out to be a girl, we name her like Homisha or
Homarita.
Homarita.
Gotta hit that Texas roots.
And we're gonna call her Rita. I'm gonna call her Rita. A little Riri. Homarita.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that at all. That is not something I would want to do to my daughter if I have one, but no.
I'm gonna call her Homarita. I'm just letting you know now. Her name is Homarita. When I see her, I'm like, what's up, Rita?
Yeah, she'll be like, what? I have to tell her the joke.
So question, do you think that Black men, when we talk about, I know in our legacy and in our maturing, in legacy comes maturity. Are Black men really given the space to fail emotionally? Why or why not?
I think we are, but again, it kind of goes back to what I said about a timeline. We don't understand. So there have been chances for us emotionally, but we don't understand it because we didn't see the emotion. We didn't understand what was going on. I have been reading Jason Wilson's books. I don't know, Man Cry. I just finished the Man the Moment Demands. And it's about being a comprehensive man. And I think in these moments, we think, or when a woman's fed up, we're like, girl, this just happened this first time. What are you talking about? We really miss those small things that have built up and we don't see it. And so we feel like we don't get a chance. I know I felt like I didn't get a chance. I made changes. I did this, da. But look at the history of all the things you've done wrong, but you didn't see them as a big deal. And so you have to, again, look in that mirror and take that look and that pause and understand that you were given chances. You just didn't understand it. And I think that's where we fail. And that's where communication on both sides and acceptance of what someone is trying to tell you. Women are not nagging all the time, we may see it differently, but they're communicating to us. They're hollering out, they're saying, love me this way. And we're like, nah, I'm gonna love you my way because I'm more comfortable. And that goes with that fear of being, and I know I dealt with it, fear of failing.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna love you the way that I know best because that is what's in my control. Loving you the way that you want to be loved is not the way I know how to. So I'm scared I'm gonna mess up and then you're gonna be able to point my finger. Don't be afraid to fail, Black man, because at the end of the day, the effort you put in, even if it doesn't work the way you want it to, will come back later on when it's supposed to.
And I like what you just said because it's something I'm unlearning as well, is we get so conditioned to loving people the way that we want to love them. Because like you said, it's safe, it's easy, it's a default. But I got to learn you now, which takes more patience, which means I don't get to speed up the relationship, which means I might get to hear a few more no's. I got to wait on a couple of more dates. I might have to wait for some sex. Like I got to wait for some meeting your family and all those things. So I love that you said that because that's important. Patience is something that I think we're so used to these like microwave relationships. We're now, the era that we grew up in, there was no DMs, right? Like when we was in elementary school, you was writing the notes and circling it.
Folding and having it different ways.
Right. Yeah. Like you used to have to like actually pursue someone. And I do think that like social media and the internet has taken away the pursuit of things, even like jobs, right? Like there was no LinkedIn when we was growing up. Like you literally had to like type your resume or print it out, take it somewhere. Maybe you could email it, right? I think that we've lived in such a microwave society that things are so quick and so fast. Mm-hmm. So as you have been healing and dating and learning, how do you navigate and learn like patience and waiting?
And with the dating and waiting, and I joke with my therapist, and I was like, I wish I didn't do the work that I've done. It's made dating harder. I could go out and have fun and not be aware, but I see a red flag, I'm like, oh. And then what level of a flag it is, and you find yourself being more intentional now. You actually find scenarios that, you really want to work, but it's not working. But you want to push past it not working, but you're like, no, you can't do that, because all it does is set you up for disappointment or hurting someone. I've been in those situations where I tried long distance and really enjoyed the young lady, talking to her, dating, good connection, but that long distance was a problem. And it got to a point where we had to end it. Did I want to? No. But I thought that would be selfish to keep going on something where I knew it was going to clash at a certain point. And before, in the past, before the therapy, before looking in the mirror, I would have went because everything was okay. And that's not the way you want to operate. And so learning patience, people operate differently. Just figure out, is it somewhere, the space they operate, can you operate in it? If you can't, remove yourself, no matter how good they look, how much money they have, how good they cook, whatever it is. If you find yourself losing yourself in these scenarios, step back. And that's how I apply myself in these scenarios. It's just like, and you can maybe not figure it out in a month, but you'll see certain signs. But it's up to you. What do you want to deal with? And you have to decide that. And I think in the past, I know I kind of was on that. If it's shiny, it's gold. And you realize that you want more depth in the shiny. Doesn't have to shine bright all the time, but you want it to shine. And so I look for that now, and I find that having patience has been a good thing, but also it's like, I want to have fun. I want to be reckless. And you're like, nope, I'm almost 40, so I can't do this. But then you see, again, on Instagram, all these 45-year-olds, everybody, and no disrespect, out 50-15, having a good old time. And you're like, man, that's the life. And it's not. For you, it's all about what you want out of life. And you have to decide that, and then you go through that program and you do the best that you can for you.
I love that. I want to ask you this. So I read this quote on Instagram this morning, and it said, you deserve to be in environments that bring out the softness in you, not the survival in you. Where do you feel most safe to be soft as a Black man?
Where do I feel safe? Around my friends. Again, I'm very lucky. And when I say friends, it's not just guys. I have a great group of female friends that are here that helped me through my separation and divorce. My family, I always feel safe with family. But I feel like you're supposed to. But then I found out with talking to different people, not everybody feels safe with their family. I was very shocked by that. And I feel for people that don't have that safety in their family. But that lets me know how blessed I am, because I can go to my parents. I actually went to my dad yesterday just to have a conversation about moving again. And this time moving for the right reasons, not running from anything, but like wanting to close a chapter and start fresh, and able to have that conversation. I couldn't do that 2-3 years ago with him. And that's the work that he's done and the work that I've done.
I want to commend you for this work as we get ready to close, because I thought I prepared for this episode, and there's so many things that you have just hit out of the ballpark. And as I'm listening to you talk, I know I said I wanted this to be like a conversation. It has been, but for me, it's been more of a mentorship session. And I feel that as I hope that you see your growth, which I'm sure you do, right? But it's just so much about everything you've been saying. I kept thinking, damn, I wish we could copy and paste this for more Black men, right? I wish that more of us were further along in our journeys like you are, right? Actually taking a hurt and applying it. And I hope you're giving yourself credit for being able to talk about this thing, right? Like, we've talked about your divorce in 90% of this episode when that was only supposed to be 10%, right? But the growth in that, right, is that you can go back and revisit that thing over and over and over again, and you're not cracking, you're not breaking, right? And it's okay if you did, right? But there is someone out there who needed to see this episode today. So I'm really grateful for you.
No, I appreciate that. And it's just the work. Again, it was not 2 years. It wasn't 3 years. It has been a journey. And, I did not see the progress, because what I thought, and this is with loving myself, my progress was fixing my marriage. And that's not the progress. Would that have been great if that happened? Sure. but that wasn't meant to be. It was actually me loving myself, recognizing my gaps, and being able to move forward in that. And that has been the best gift, because I recently wrote about it, posted about my divorce again, and it was just about the gift that was given was the opportunity to love someone the right way, to be with someone, have a family, and do those things. I, for a long time, didn't see that happening again. And so now with the work that I've put in, and I continue to see it with my conversations with my friends and my therapists, I'm thankful for everybody that has poured into me, because as much as we want to say we're self-made, we're not. Even Jay-Z is not self-made. He had people that worked with him and did certain things, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity to come on this podcast and talk. And you can always invite me back. We can talk about a plethora of things, but I really appreciate the opportunity. And I was nervous at first, but then it's my testimony. And actually at church today, they talked about your testimony and just a just Jesus moment. And today was that, just being able to get this out, and it feels refreshing. So thank you.
I'm grateful for the safe space for Black men. So I have a question for you. If you could talk to any younger version of Homer at any age, any season, what would you say to him?
It is okay to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is actually a strength, not a weakness. So don't be afraid to be vulnerable to family members, friends, and actually even a stranger, because at the end of the day, you don't know how you can help somebody improve somebody's life.
I love that. I love that. I want to ask you this as we prepare to for real close. Black folks, we got to have like 3-4 closings as a Black person. I want to ask you this. There's so many things that we want to say. And before we close out, the last thing that I want to ask is, if a Black man, because they will be listening, may be listening, sitting in silence, struggling with himself, struggling with his mental health, and maybe even sitting in some pain, what would you want him to know?
I would tell that Black man, it's simple. Everything will be okay. Just hold on. You're going through a dark season. I went through multiple seasons. I actually went through depression where I became suicidal for a short period of time. So if you can get through that, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I may not seem like it, but keep striving, struggling, but keep moving. That's what I would tell you.
Struggling, but keep moving. I like that, because in the struggle, we can move forward, giving ourselves the grace. And sometimes that looks like, at least I got out of bed today, right? At least I brushed my teeth today. At least I took a shower today. At least I answered the phone today. I didn't cry as much today.
Exactly.
And if I did cry, it's okay. So I love that you said that. As we wrap this episode, this is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and we want to leave space for that. And we talked about earlier in the episode that oftentimes we tell men to go get help, but we don't tell them where to go. So we want to shout out our friends at the Alice Collective. They are a partner of ours. They do in-person and virtual therapy. They do small group therapy for men and small group therapy for women. They see men, women, children of all ages. So please visit them at www.alice.org. They work on sliding scales, cash, and with insurance. And so we want to make sure that that is a pillar of support, not just for our community, but for our Black communities. Again, a wonderful, wonderful place, a wonderful health company to manage your mental and your emotional health. Again, www.alice.org, thealice.org. And so tell them that we sent you. Tell them that I sent you. So listen, we don't talk about men's mental health enough. We don't talk about being well enough, and we don't get to talk with enough Black men to share their stories. And so, but today, all of those things change. So very grateful for you, Homer. Very grateful for those of you who have sat with us through this episode and through all past 4 seasons. This has been season 4.5, actually. And so this has been, you good, bruh. So do us a favor, share this episode for a Black person. This has been officially Off the Record, and I am your host, Ramaj. Thank y'all.